So today we will be discussing about the anatomy of the retina. So in the next class, we will discuss the physiology. So retina, I think all of you know the three layers of the eye. So among the three coats of the eye, retina is the innermost coat. And it is a very thin and delicate layer. So it is a delicate membrane, very delicate membrane, retina. So it is the bilayered structure. I like to say all of you students, please join the class by 9, exactly at 9 to 9:01, so that we can complete in time and it will not be any disturbances. So always you are joining the class till the end of the hour. It is not good. I request all of you, and please convey the message to your friends also. Those who want to join the class, please join by 9:01. So I think all of you know that this is a anterior portion of the retina, and the anterior segment till the lens, and behind the lens is the posterior segment of the eye. So in this, retina occupies the innermost coat of the eyeball, and it's a posterior segment. Whenever we discuss about the retina, so we remember the posterior segment of the eye. So always remember from the posterior to anterior the layer. So this is the sclera, or the anteriorly is the cornea and posteriorly is the sclera. This is the outermost coat. Then the vascular coat, which is the choroid, ciliary body, and the iris. So, and the innermost coat or the neural layer is the retina. So this is the retina, which is the bilayer. So from this figure, you can also make out or imagine that retina is the innermost delicate layer of the eye. So coming to the embryology, we have discussed in the earlier section, but still a quick revision about the retina. Retina, it is a part of brain. So it is a part of central nervous system. So at the end of the first month in the development of the human embryo, two optic vesicles develop at the lateral surface of the embryonic forebrain, and it becomes a retinal pigment epithelium, whereas the inner sheath is transferred into the neurosensory retina. So we know that during the embryogenesis, it is developed from the forebrain. So forebrain or prosencephalon, it has got also two pouch. So two pouch, and that is prosencephalon, and that is telencephalon and diencephalon. So from the diencephalon, which you will see the optic, there is some pouch. So that is optic vesicles gradually which invaginates, and it forms a two layers. It forms a cup, and in that cup there is a two layer. So the outer layer differentiate into the pigment epithelium, and the inner layer into the neural retina. So you can see from over here, it's developed from the neural plate, ectodermal. So ectodermal thickness is there from the neural plate, and at the edge there is they rises, and they forms the groove and fold. And here you can see gradually you can see the this pouching, and this pouching, there is, it forms a two layers. So outer layer differentiate into the RP, and the inner layer differentiate into the neural layer. So this is very important for you to understand, because we will come in the subsequent slides again, the embryology. So if you will not come in time, this is a problem. So your time is being wasted. You just don't admit that. The retina, it is a light sensitive tissues that lines the inside of the eye. So we have got the different layers, and in the physiology section we will discuss about this. And the retina functions in a manner similar to that of the film of the camera. So the optical elements within the eye focus an image on the retina of the eye, initiating a series of chemical and electrical events within the retina. So the nerve fibers within the retina sends the electrical signals to the brain, which then interprets these signals as a visual images. So when this uh, when a signal through the media, it transfers over here, and through this retina, through these rods and cones, the signals are then generated, and through the cells, different types of the cells are there. They are passed through the optic nerve, through the central nervous, through the brain. So this is how it is interpreted. So during the development, the pigment layers, which is a single columnar layer with a pigment granules in it, and cytoplasm from the outer thin layer of the optic curve. So, and the neural layer, which is the internal layer, which is formed from the inner layer of the optic curve, start by 40 days and continues until 7 months. So anterior 1/5 of the inner layer, the layer of the columnar cells, in its region of the curve, the overlaps the lens and does not differentiate into nervous tissues. And posterior 4/5 of the inner layer of the optic curve undergoes a cellular proliferation, forming the outer nuclear zone, inner marginal zone, and devoids of nucleus. So this is also important, which is embryologically it is developed in the manner. So when we will discuss later on in the slides, this point will come. So over here, what you have seen is the anterior 1/5 of the inner retina. There is a columnar cells, and this overlaps the lens and does not differentiate into nervous tissue. So anteriorly, if you go, in these cells, if you go, they do not differentiate into the neural tissues, whereas the retinal pigment epithelium, it continues as a over here through the iris, whereas the neurosensory retina ends over here. So it is one of the landmark, and it is also said that it is the point for the ora serrata. So retina, the innermost tunic of the eyeball, it is thin, delicate, and transparent membrane. It is the most highly developed tissues of the eye, and it appears purple red due to the visual purple of the rods and underlying vascular choroids. So why it looks like this color? Because of the choroid. Retina extends from the optic disc to the ora serrata, and it is grossly divided into two distinct regions, that is posterior pole and peripheral retina, which is separated by so-called the retinal equator. So retinal equator is an imaginary line which is considered to lie in the line with the axis of four vortex vein, that is the vena verticus. So when you see in this picture, you can see this is the retina where it ends over here, and this is the equator. This is the equator, and this is this is the ora serrata. From the posteriorly, where you see So what is the posterior pole and the peripheral retina? Posterior pole is the area where you can see over here. That means with the help of the direct ophthalmoscope. So if you do if you do the fundoscopy, you will not be able to see whole of this retina. You will be only able to see the certain portion of the retina. So that is called the ocular fundus. The with the help of the you always put in mind why we will say that with the help of the direct ophthalmoscope, if you will not be able to see the whole part of the retina, only the part of the retina which you will be able to see. So that is called the ocular fundus. So when you see anterior or during the ophthalmoscopy, what you will see is the landmark which we will see is like this. So this is a ocular fundus. So here you will see the disc, optic disc. This is a macular area, just little bit laterally and inferiorly, about 1 millimeter. About this is 3 millimeter, and this is just 1 millimeter inferiorly. You will see the macula, and you will see the vortex vein. This is in the mid periphery, and this is a periphery. So if you divide, this is a posterior pole. This area is the posterior pole, and this is a mid periphery, and this is a peripheral retina. So this peripheral retina we will not be able to see with the help of the direct ophthalmoscope. We need some other instrument to see this peripheral part of the fundus. And this is the ora serrata. So over here, like this, you will see the color. So this is the optic disc, which is pale due to the presence of the depressions of the cup, and the other avascular little bit. This is a signing area. So this over here is the avascular area. So like a shadow area. So this is a macula. So you can see the vortex vein, and this is the ora serrata. So posterior pole refers to the area of the retina posterior to the retinal equator. The posterior pole of the retina includes two distinct areas, the optic disc and the macula. So I have told you the posterior poles include the optic disc and the macula. So this is the posterior pole. This is the posterior pole. Posterior pole of the retina is best examined by the slit lamp indirect biomicroscopy using plus 78 diopter and plus 90 diopter lens and direct ophthalmoscopy. So posterior pole, the minute things like microaneurysm and all is more clearly seen with the direct ophthalmoscope. But rather, you have seen, if you have come to the ophthalmopedy also, you have seen that I am frequently using 90 plus 90 diopter lens to examine the fundus. So the lens which I am using is the 90 diopters. Similarly, we have 78, little bit of larger in size, plus 78 diopter we use. So with the help of these two lenses, it will be more clear to see the posterior pole. Without the lens, we cannot see the fundus. Till the anterior segment only we will be able to see with the help of slit lamp also. But slit lamp added with this diopter of the lens, we will be able to see the posterior segment. So posterior pole is more clearly seen with the help of these lenses. So I think all of you get my point that posterior poles includes the optic disc and the macula. So to understand the disease portion, this anatomy must be very clear in the mind, because from the next class when I start the disease portion, this if you will not understand, you will not understand the disease part. So see in this picture what we see with the help of the slit lamp with the 90 diopter or with the direct ophthalmoscope, we will see the optic disc and the vessels emerging from the optic disc. Always there will be the vessels emerging from the optic disc. And at the center, this is the cup depression. This is a physiological cup, because in certain condition this cup will be enlarged and we will say that is pathological cupping or glaucoma. So this is a physiological cup. Then moving towards laterally, this is the macula, and these are the vessels going upward and downward. So this is the posterior pole. This part is the posterior pole. So optic disc is the pink colored. So always put in mind, this is very important practical questions for all of you. It is a pink colored, well defined circular area of about 1.5 millimeter in diameter. And at the optic disc, all the retinal layers terminate except the nerve fibers, which passes through the lamina cribrosa to run into the optic nerve. So over here the nerve layers terminates and except the nerves fibers, so which passes through the lamina cribrosa to run into the optic nerve. So what is this lamina cribrosa? Again here frequently the questions will come to you in your mind. See this area is the lamina cribrosa. It is nothing but it is a part of the sclera. But what type of the structure? It is the porous, means multiple small holes. If you remember, it is a sieve-like structure. So over here, the nerve passes through it. The signals carrying from over here, they passes through it. So this is the part, specialized type of the structures of the sclera with the porous and nerve pass through it. So this is the lamina cribrosa. At the optic disc, all the retinal layers terminate except the nerve fibers, which passes through the lamina cribrosa to run into the optic nerve. A depression seen in the disc is called the physiological cup. So I have said the small yellowish area which you will see here. So this is a cup, physiological cup. The central retinal artery and vein emerges to the center of this cup. So central retinal arteries and vein. So this is a artery and this is a vein. So they emerge and descends over here. Now coming to the macula lutea. So it is also called the yellow spot. So this macula over here, it is the yellow spot. It is also called the yellow spot. So it is comparatively deeper red than the surrounding fundus, and it is situated at the posterior pole temporal to the optic disc. So it is situated temporal to the optic disc. It is situated temporal to the optic disc over here. And this area, it is in the posterior hole. So it is about 5.5 millimeter in diameter. So this is 1.5, this is 5.5. So it is larger area. So it is about 1.5 diameter. Fovea centralis is the central depression part of the macula. So over here at the center, you will see a depression. So that is called the fovea centralis. So the depression over here in the optic disc is called the physiological cup. So you should not miss. Over here, the depression is called the fovea centralis. And this, it is about 1.5 millimeter in diameter, and it is the most sensitive part of the retina. In its center, there is a shining pit. So at the center of the fovea centralis, you will see a shining reflex due to the reflections of this peripheral side. As there is a depression, So the reflections from this peripheral side, so you will see the one reflex over here, that we call the foveal reflex. So and coming to the fovea, now fovea, it is more acute area, that is 0.35 millimeter in diameter, and it is situated about 2 Dix diameter away from the temporal. So over here 2 Dix diameter means one dix is 1.5 millimeter and 2 Dix is 3 millimeter. So 3 millimeter away from the Dix is the fovea, temporal margin of the disc, and it is 1 millimeter below the horizontal meridian. So horizontal meridian is, if you draw the imaginary line just crossing over here like this, so just 1 millimeter below this. At an area about 0.8 millimeter in diameter, including fovea and some surrounding area, does not contain any retinal capillaries and is called the foveal avascular zone. So over here there is no blood supply. So we will discuss when we will come to the blood supply. So it is called the avascular area, foveal avascular area. So surrounding of the fovea are the parafoveal and perifoveal area. So parafoveal and perifoveal area. So parafoveal region and perifoveal retina. So we will say parafoveal and perifoveal retina. So all of you get my point. This is the optic disc where there is a central depression called the physiological cup. Who is this Hertz Manu? What is the use of coming at this time? I think you will come to the next class. It will be better. Sitting in the home, no work at all. Just the work is to read and coming at this time. It is useless. No sincerity in your, how you will pass the exam? Already lacking so many things due to this pandemic, and now moreover coming to the class when half of the class is over. So when you discuss the difference between these two, this is a optic disc which is 1.5 millimeter, and this is a macular area which is 5.5 millimeter. Though both are situated in the posterior pole. Over here, the central depression is pale in color, which is called the physiological cup. And over here, the depression, central depression is quite red in color, and it is a depression called the macula lutea. So over here, the vessel emerged from over here. There is no vessel, so it is a avascular area. You don't see any vessels over here. Any more difference? Okay. So all of you understood the disc, optic disc, and the macula. So these things, though you are not being able to see with the ophthalmoscope in your practical posting, but in a theory part will all be asked to you in your practical exam. So the peripheral retina, when you come to the peripheral retina, it refers to the area bounded posteriorly by the retinal equator and anteriorly by the ora serrata. So ora serrata and the retina. So this is the ora serrata and the equator. So peripheral retina is best examined with the indirect ophthalmoscope and by the Goldmann 3-mirror contact lenses. So 3-mirror contact lens, there will be in a one like a 90 diopter lens, there will be the 3-mirror, and with the help of that we can see, or with the indirect ophthalmoscope, which is also in our OPD. If you like to see, you can see later on. So what is ora serrata? So when you see the ora serrata, from the posteriorly to anteriorly, the retina, The posterior part of the retina is smooth. So this is the posterior part of the retina, but the anterior part of the retina, it is somewhat projections like or serrated margin, peripheral margin where the retina ends. So here the retina is firmly attached both to the vitreous and the choroid. So the pars plana extend anteriorly from the ora serrata. So over here, if you see in these sections, you can see the retina ends over here, and from here the retina, they have got the serrated margin like this, serrated margin over here. So inside this central part, inner part, there is a vitreous, and outer part is the choroid. So this always we have to keep in mind. So it is firmly attached to the vitreous and the choroid. So from here, the pars plana extend anteriorly and forms the ora serrata. So microscopically, we have got the retina consists of 3 types of cell. Their synapse arranged from within inwards in a following chain layers. So we will discuss about these cells and all in the next class. So I would like to discuss the few points of this layers, microscopic 10 layers, and you have to practice the 10 layers, the diagram. It is also important questions for you for your exam. So pigment layer, it is the outermost layer of the retina, and it consists of single layer of the cells containing the pigment. So it is firmly adhered to the underlying basal lamella, Brooks membrane of the choroid. So retinal pigment epithelium, it is the outermost layer of the retina. So if you see over here in this picture, this outermost layer is there continues in this fashion. The layers continue. If you see in this picture, so this RPE is the outermost layer of the retina. It's firmly added to the underlying basal lamella, that is the Brooks membrane of the choroid. So over here you can see this, after the sclera you can see the choroid. So it is attached to the basal lamella of the choroid. So in this picture, you can see over here the retinal pigment epithelium, layers of rods and cone, external limiting membrane, outer nuclear membrane, plexiform layer, inner nuclear layer, inner plexiform layer, ganglion cell layer, nerve fiber layer, and internal limiting membrane. So we will discuss more in the next class. So we will discuss a few, 1 or 2 layers in today's class, and after that I will continue in next class. So layers of the rods and cone. Now coming the next layers, that is the neural retina. So rods and cones are the end organ of the vision and are also known as the photoreceptors. So these are the photoreceptors, and the layers of rods and cone contains only the outer segment of the photoreceptor cells arranged in a palisade manner. So there are about 120 million rods and 6.5 million cones. So rods contain a photosensitive substances, that is visual purple rhodopsin, and that solves the peripheral vision and the vision for the low illumination, that is the scotoptic vision. And cones also contains the photosensitive substances that are primarily responsible for the highly discriminatory central vision. So if there is no cones, then we have a number of the problem. We do not have the acuity. So and at the center there is a cone, and due to the cone it is the more sensitive part and the color vision. External limiting membrane, it is the fenestrated membrane through which passes the process of rods and cone. And outer nuclear layer, it consists of the nuclei of the rods and cone. And outer plexiform layer, it contains connections of the rods spiricules and cones pedicle with the dendrites of bipolar cells and horizontal cells. So in the next class, we will discuss about the rods and cone anatomy also. So inner nuclear layer, it mainly consists of the cell bodies of the bipolar cells, and it contains cell bodies of horizontal, amacrine and Muller cells, and the capillaries of the central artery of the retina. So the bipolar cell constitutes a first order neuron, and in a plexiform layer, it is essentially consists of connection between the axons of bipolar cells, dendrites of ganglion cells, and process of amacrine cells. And coming to the ganglion cell layer, it contains the cell bodies of ganglion cells, where the second order neuron is there in the visual pathway. And there are two types of ganglion cells. So the midgate ganglion cells, which are present in the macular regions, and the polysynaptic ganglion cells, which are present peripherally. And nerve fiber layer, which consists of axons of the ganglion cell, which passes into the lamina cribrosa to form the optic nerve, and internal limiting membrane. It is the innermost layer and separates the retina from the vitreous. So it is formed by the union of the terminal expansion of Muller fibers, and it is essentially the basement membrane. So what are the structures of the fovea centralis? It has got the peculiar type of the structures where there is absence of the rods and cones are tightly packed over here, and this layer is very thin with the absence of the so many layers among the 10 layers. In the central part of the fovea, there is largely consists of cones and the nuclei covered by the thin internal limiting membrane, and all other retinal layers are absent in this. And in the foveal region surrounding the fovea, the cones axons are arranged obliquely to reach the margin of the fovea. So it has the clinical importance over here of this hyaline layer in the diabetic patients or in other type of the disease, which we will discuss the clinical importance over here, the applied anatomy. So this is a peculiar type of the microscopic structures of the fovea and functional divisions, and further part we will discuss in the next class. So any questions regarding this up till now, the anatomy of the retina, because it is very important over here and you have to practice this picture, because this picture will give you so many ideas about the 10 layers. You can write by yourself if you know this picture. So please practice this picture, all of you, so that the cells, bodies, and this dendrite process, and you can remember everything from this picture. And this is a very important part, and the distributions of the nerve fibers also I will discuss. So when you discuss the blood supply, we will discuss it has got two supply, one from the central retinal artery between go through it over here, and over here it divides, and through the posterior ciliary vein through the it pierces the sclera and go over here and forms a plexus. So it supplies the anterior part of the retina, and central retinal it supplies the posterior part of the retina. So that we will also discuss. So any questions? Because this is a very important, if you will not understand anything over here, you will not understand anything over there.